You have two men behind the wheels in separate cars. This is in Florida, each calling 911 to complain about the other's driving. By the time this whole dispute was over, Robert Doyle, here on the left side of your screen, would be charged with second-degree murder. Police say he shot Candelario Gonzalez on the right multiple times in front of his family. Doyle has since posted bond and is out of jail. There are 911 tapes, and they reveal differing views in what police call a, quote, aggressive driving incident. Let me play this for you. You will hear Doyle talking to this 911 operator, he's telling him he's being followed and that he has his gun ready.
They're following me to my house. I'll be there in 20 seconds, and the guns are already out.
All right, hold on for me, okay?
It's going down right now.
You know, I can't even get the garage open.
You don't need to. Just you take your hand and throw it in park as soon as I'm stopped.
In the 911 calls from the other car, Gonzalez's wife tells the operator that Doyle was, quote, driving like an idiot. She says her husband followed Doyle all the way home just to get his address. In this 911 call, you can hear Gonzalez tell Doyle he has his number. Listen closely.
Everybody.
Okay.
We're going on home. We're going home. Oh, I guess we're not.
Son of a got a gun. Get somebody here now.
Sir.
It's just awful. Police say Doyle held Gonzalez's wife, his young daughter, and his grandson at gunpoint until police arrived. Let's discuss this. I have defense lawyer Bob Schalk and HLN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson. So, my goodness. First of all, there's a lot to get through. There's a dispute even, and I'm referring to that you have the grandfather and the homeowner. This is how I'm clearing this up. There's a dispute over whether the grandfather followed the guy to his home. Was he coming at him? Was he backing away? Does that matter in the eyes of law? Who's approaching whom?
Sure, Brooke, it absolutely does. And so you want to find out who's the aggressor. And, you know, listening to that 911 tape is very troubling. It's horrifying. But the defense, I think, has some challenges here. Because even in the 911 tape, it puts us into his frame of mind. It's going down now. Does it look like the prosecution will argue, was it someone in fear? Did they believe themselves to be in immediate fear? Because that's going to be the issue. Remember, there's an independent witness here who goes so far as to say that it appeared as though Gonzalez was retreating and backing up.
Right.
Of course, Gonzalez being the victim who was shot. In addition to that, apparently the autopsy established, Brooke, that he was shot 3 times in the back in addition to once in the chest. And so when you have someone who has a gun, they get out of the car and they affirmatively approach you, it's hard to argue that you're standing your ground, as we commonly hear.
That was because you hear Florida, and the sheriff is saying, no, this wasn't a stand your ground case, and I think that sort of explains why this wouldn't be perhaps self-defense.
Right, stand your ground, self-defense, it's all the same. The defendant is going to claim, you know, I was in fear for my safety, I was in fear for my family's safety, I'm at my residence, this individual's following me home.
Yep.
We're on the road.
On
He's on my property, right? He's following me. He's acting in an aggressive nature. He tried to run me off the road. The biggest issue I think here is obviously that independent witness does hurt the defense, saying that he was retreating as well did those bullets to the back. However, are there going to be other people now knowing what happened after the fact who may recognize this story, who saw individuals driving these 2 cars and maybe caught a glimpse? Maybe there's traffic cameras that maybe who is the aggressor? Did Gonzalez try running him off the road?
Really, they were shouting at each other.
Exactly.
On the road.
We live in a society of, you know, between social media, videos on intersections now with red light cameras, there should be enough subpoena ability to be able to possibly see where they were, to see whether or not the defense can continue to build in the self-defense.
And I agree with that. And to Bob's point, which is a very good one, all of that's critical. But remember, what the prosecution is going to do is to zoom it down to exactly the series of events that led to his death. And so, yes, it's important what happened before. Yes, it's important to get the videotapes, if there are any cell phone, to say who was aggressive, who was not. But at the time that the critical shot was fired, 2 questions need to be asked. Number 1, was I in immediate fear for my life? If the answer is no, the defense has problems. Number 2, did the force that I used exceed the threat that was posed to me? And if that's the case, again, more problems for the defense.
What about after that critical moment when we know Doyle, the homeowner, holds the wife, the daughter, the grandson hostage until police arrive? And on top of that, you have the 911 operator telling Gonzalez, go home. Don't go to this guy's house. Those 2 pieces of fact, how might that factor into this whole
huge,
case?
because, I mean, let's jump forward to a jury.
Yep.
A jury's hearing that you're being told by a member of law enforcement to stand down. And he's not even home yet, and he's saying the guns are already ready. Like, this is going to happen. And and he hasn't even gotten out of his car yet. Gonzalez is still in his vehicle.
Right.
See, that's a huge problem that they're going to have, is saying that this is self-defense, because you're now telling them that it's going to happen before it's even started. It's almost this premeditated act.
In addition,
Whatever happened on the road, he decided, if this guy's coming to my house, it's going down. And that's a huge problem for the defense.
and the children holding at bay 2 children who are 8 or under in a car at gunpoint, really? And so, to your point, Bob, I mean, a jury evaluating that information, to what extent do we need to hold children at bay?
Right, I was just
facing
gonna say,
30 years, bro. 30 years on the second-degree murder.
You're talking about sometimes where you're looking for jury sympathy or jury nullification as a defendant, where, okay, maybe the law's not on my side, but they could justify what I did, and you're hoping, but now you're holding children at bay with a gun. It's just, you're not going to have, there's no sympathy factor here whatsoever.
How can you be that angry? Bob Schalk and Joey Jackson, thank you both very much.
Thank you,
I know.
Brooke.
Shake your head
Tough
at that
to
one.
talk about.
Next, lost at sea. 2 teenagers are still missing after this fishing trip off the coast of Florida. Here what the Coast Guard has now just found. Plus, 3 years after the death of her mother being Whitney Houston, Bobby Christina Brown here has died at the age of 22. So many questions remain here. Could a criminal investigation be coming? We'll discuss that next.